Angeles, California. Next up, highly touted American featherweight Joseph Diaz Jr. looks to continue his climb up the rankings as he puts his undefeated record on the line against Horacio Garcia of Mexico. And then in our main event, the final chapter, or at least allegedly the final chapter, in the first ballot Hall of Fame career, Bernard Hopkins, as he faces Joe Smith Jr. Let's get ready now for Joseph Diaz against Horacio Garcia in the second of our three fights. And here's the tale of the tape for Diaz against Garcia. They're in the featherweight division. You can see the 3-year age advantage for young Diaz. He gives up an inch in height to the fighter who is from Guadalajara, Horacio Garcia. Also a 1-inch arm length advantage, measuring the armpit to the end of the fist for Garcia. They both weighed in at or under the 126-pound limit. And overnight, Diaz has rehydrated up to what our unofficial scale sees as a 3-pound functional weight advantage. All right, Max Kellerman, we're getting ready to take another look at Joseph Diaz in the development of his career. American Olympian in the featherweight division. Stylistically, I see him as sort of a developing facsimile of Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, who knows if he'll ever get to that level of skill, but the style of fighting is quite similar.
He's a good, cute southpaw who's a very well-rounded fighter, and you know it when you see it. A guy with some next-level potential. He seems to have it. He's already quite good, and he seems to be getting better. To compare him to Lomachenko, or anyone to Lomachenko, is unfair, but you know what? Lomachenko ain't in the division anymore, and it looks like Diaz has as good a chance as any at reaching the top of this pretty loaded division.
So he's taking on Horacio Garcia, who comes from Guadalajara, who comes from the same fighting colony as that which produced Canelo Alvarez. Garcia is, Roy Jones, a career brawler with a very good record. 31 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, but the loss and the draw both came within the last 4 fights. And in these situations, when you have a super skilled boxer like Diaz, going against a guy who's a strong brawler, we almost never see the brawler win. What chance of an upset here?
No, we never really see the brawler win, so I don't think the brawler really has a chance to upset him. However, we got to remember that Diaz also is trained by his father, who, like Enzo Calzaghe, really wasn't a boxer himself. So maybe the experience factor that he has from being down there in Guadalajara would give him an edge. We don't know. We don't think it will, but that's the only possible chance. And I can see him using his knowledge that he's learning in the gym to pull off an upset.
Yeah, he's handled by Eddie and Chepo Reynoso, the same pair who train and manage Canelo Alvarez in Guadalajara. And Horacio Garcia, very nice young man, product of a very poor background in Guadalajara, wanted to make a big point to us of saying, my mother raised 4 boys on the income she made from baking tortillas, and she is my hero in life. And, you know, so often that's the case for fighters, Roy Jones. Parents don't get enough credit for all the work that they put in.
No, parents don't get enough credit. I mean, I always credit my mom for my personality and my attitude, because my mom has the same exact personality and attitude as I have.
Horacio Garcia in the ring. Joseph Diaz is a Los Angeles product. Has done all of his training and career development as a fighter in a Teamsters gym in South El Monte, which is a suburban community outside of Los Angeles near the 10 freeway. If you've been in this area, you've probably driven at some point past where Diaz lives, and has an incandescent personality, Max Kellerman, as nice and as attractive a young man as we've met in a long time.
Yeah, he's a really likable kid, and the story of his father just kind of learning boxing from books and teaching it to his kid to get him to this level is rare and interesting. Diaz, we've seen him in recent fights dominate early. I think what we're looking for tonight, what I'm looking for tonight, is not only for him to win, he is favored, but to not take his foot off the gas. To, when he has his advantage, keep pressing it and not have some of those dead spots we've seen in a few of his fights where an otherwise dominated opponent starts to have a little more success at that point maybe than they should.
Jojo Diaz, heavily favored here against Horacio Garcia. Another step in the development of a potential star arc career. Let's go to Joe Martinez for the official introductions.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are set to go from the fabulous forum here in Englewood, California, the co-main event of the evening. 10 rounds of boxing, this scheduled for the NABF Featherweight Championship. Presented by Oscar de la Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions. He's sponsored by Cerveza Tecate Born Bold and Casa Mexico Tequila. It's in the taste. Your three judges scoring this bout at ringside: Tom Carazon, Max DeLuca, and Pat Russell. When the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Raul Caiz Jr. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks trimmed in orange, he weighed in officially 125 3/4 pounds. This 32-fight veteran has an outstanding record that stands at 30 victories, just 1 defeat, 1 draw, 21 big wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando el hijo de Guadalajara, Jalisco, México, el violento, Horacio Garcia. And next his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing purple trunks trimmed in yellow, he weighed in officially 126 pounds even. In 22 professional bouts, he stands perfect in the ring. 22 victories, no defeats, 13 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the fighting pride and native son of South El Monte, California. Here is the current reigning, defending, undefeated NABF Featherweight Champion, Joseph Jojo Diaz Jr.
Fighter chief second only, please. Fighter chief second only, please. Now, please. All right, gentlemen, you received the instructions in the dressing room. Know what I expect? A good, clean fight. Ya recibieron las instrucciones que era una pelea limpia. Legal punches, here for you. Legal punches, here for you. Touch gloves, good luck to both of you. Buena suerte los dos.
Boxer versus the brawler. The brawler has heart, the boxer has skills. These are usually pretty fun to watch.
Listo. Ready. Box.
A few years ago, we covered the career of Nonito Donaire. Donaire was Fighter of the Year in the estimation of quite a number of reporting outlets in 2012, and has had a tremendous career. And he's a guy who got into boxing because he was bullied on the playground at school as a child. Jojo Diaz is also a product of that experience. He wound up getting into boxing because he was getting bullied at school, he was getting pushed around and roughed up, and his father said to him, I think you need to do something to protect yourself, and took him to a boxing gym. And from such parental decisions are great lives sometimes made.
Yes, they are, and you got to admire the love for the son that the father has to take him to the boxing gym. Never knew a thing about boxing, but studied all the books, watched all the correct tapes, did everything necessary to sacrifice to make sure that he was able to lead his son to all the way to the Olympics. I mean, that is an extraordinary situation.
Especially when you look at how skilled Diaz is, guys. You know, it's one thing to get him to a certain level, and maybe the kid is unnaturally blessed with, or preternaturally blessed with power or speed. And Diaz is a good athlete, but he gets by on his excellent boxing skills.
And at the beginning of the fight here, He looks a tiny bit undersized against Horacio Garcia.
It does look a little undersized, but what's more importantly, Jim, is that he got to move that head a little bit. His head is a little too still, and Horacio Garcia has a lot of experience. You can tell by the punches that he's using, and JoJo is using the same punches back.
And Garcia has pretty good power with 21 knockouts in his 30 fights, and he's landed some solid shots early on here against Diaz. Diaz trying to find his timing and get his rhythm together early in the first round.
And that was a good straight left hand by JoJo Diaz. Tried it twice, landed the first time. Good body shot by JoJo.
Yeah, I don't feel this is particularly close so far. I think JoJo's working him pretty good, but he is getting tagged from time to time, even when he's partially blocking the shots.
Now, as long as JoJo is in front and gets that head down and moves it a little, he has no problems. But with a guy who is as strong as Garcia is, you want to show him a little bit of head movement.
JoJo Diaz produced his very best performance so far in his career in his last fight against Andrew Cancio on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez versus Liam Smith in Dallas in September. He was fighting a good opponent, Cancio. Cut his nose early in the fight. The blood off the cut on the nose bothered Cancio into the later rounds when Diaz wore him down and wound up with a TKO victory. Outstanding combination punching. He'll try to do the same against Horacio Garcia here.
Listen, that's good work, son. But you have opportunities right there.
Right.
You have every time he throws a little combination, you throw a little combination, he wants to step back, cross his legs, and reset himself. Those are your opportunities to go right back to him. Because he's expecting that from you already. You kind of tested the waters right here. So he thinks every time he throws a little combination or you throw a combination, he's going to be able to cross his legs, set up. But no, you're going to be right there. You're going to go back underneath him again. You understand?
Pásame la grasa, hijo.
With the Vaseline, son. You gotta pay attention. Or watch where you go in, you open yourself up, okay? Because he wants to catch you with that left.
Jim, here's what Garcia's experience shows. He blocks the overhand left, gets caught with the cross jab, but right after the cross jabs, he lands the overhand right of his own. That's a true experience thing right there.
And it landed partly because of what you mentioned, Roy. He's using his glove, JoJo is, to block, and he's not moving his head.
They got to move that head, especially when you got a strong puncher like Garcia.
But by CompuBox count, Garcia landed, or Diaz, I should say, landed almost twice as many punches as Garcia in the first round. The latter part of the round, Diaz seemed to have found a better rhythm in dealing with Horacio Garcia. You can see that Harold Letterman, our unofficial ringside scorer, scored the first round for Joseph Diaz.
I agree with Harold. I thought Diaz dominated the round, but I was just saying why I wanted to see a little bit more head movement from the young guy, JoJo Diaz, because when you got a powerful puncher in front of you, you don't want to give him a still target.
Yeah, in the meantime, Garcia's ripping some really heavy body shots this round early.
And I love that straight left that he's throwing. Beautiful straight left lead he's throwing. Like that right there.
I like Horacio Garcia's Baltimore Orioles trunks. But here in what was once the house that Magic built, you've got to love Diaz's Laker outfit.
You sure do.
Purple and gold.
All the way down to the shoes.
Good body shot by JoJo Diaz.
Three-punch combination for Diaz, and there's the body shot again.
What I like about Garcia and what's making this a good fight so far is JoJo's doing a lot of good things, and Garcia's remaining determined and sticking to what he knows he has to do to try to win the fight.
Yeah, but if he keeps letting that tree get chopped on, Max, that tree is going to eventually start to show wear and tear. So he can't let JoJo keep hitting him with these clean punches.
Right. At the beginning of the round, Garcia didn't seem willing to let his hands go, and therefore Diaz was able to land combinations and land shots at will. Since that time, Garcia has begun to throw back again. He's got to try to keep Diaz occupied, because otherwise Diaz will just mystify him with his hand speed and his various combinations.
And his pot shots. Diaz throws very good, like that left hand right there. He throws very good pot shots, constantly keeping himself lined up to throw another if you happen to come into the range or if you happen to make the wrong move. So I like the fact that every shot he throws like that, he's always ready to throw another shot if necessary.
So does Garcia need to try to be more busy, Roy?
Yeah, well, you need to throw more straight right hands. Like the uppercut. That was a good uppercut, but it got countered. good counter combination by JoJo.
That right hook.
See that left hand that JoJo's throwing? Garcia needs to do the same thing, and like that right there. That'll keep JoJo's hands at home a little bit more, but he's not doing it. He's just walking forward with his hands at his face, and JoJo's throwing the punches first. So like that. So it forces him to keep his hands at home on defense, not allowing him to be offensive towards
10
JoJo.
seconds. Stop at the bell, gentlemen. 10 segundos. Para la campana.
Well, we are in Hollywood. There's Dave Chappelle, big-time boxing fan. Always here when we have fights at the Forum. And there's Vitaly Klitschko, right behind Dave Chappelle. And Vitaly Klitschko is here, of course, because his countryman Alexander Usyk was in the preceding fight on the undercard. And hey, Vitaly, mayor of Kiev. And there's George Lopez, seated next to Oscar De La Hoya. A couple of famous Mexican-American entertainers seated together there.
LA is the best fight town in the country.
It is the best fight town in the country.
Right. He wants to measure you, but you're not going to let him. Shall I Dixon body a little more? Dixon body? Yeah, Dixon the body.
We're in the Forum in Los Angeles, where Jojo Diaz, rising featherweight prospect, is in the ring against Horacio Garcia. There's a look at Diaz in his Laker purple and gold uniform. Earlier in the first preliminary fight, cruiserweight prospect Alexander Usyk, I call him prospect, he's already a title holder, won easily over a South African opponent with a knockout victory. In the main event, Bernard Hopkins is going to be taking on Joe Smith. Harold Letterman, how'd you have the first 3 rounds of Diaz versus Garcia?
Well, I got the first 2 rounds, Jim. 20-18, 2 rounds to nothing. Joseph Diaz Jr. I love his combinations, Jim. I really do. That right hook, and then he puts the straight left behind it. It's just, you know, he's just dominating the fight so far. I thought he hurt Garcia on a number of occasions with that combination. 2-0, Joseph Diaz Jr.
And you're right, I was jumping the gun, trying to get you to go ahead and score the 3rd round.
No problem, Jim, no problem.
We'll get that score a little bit later on. Diaz is getting closer and closer to what we might call target practice against Horacio Garcia.
Yeah, what he's doing, Jim, he's winning the hand speed battle. His hand speed is so much better than Garcia's that it makes Garcia afraid to let his hands go, because every time he sticks it out, he gets countered.
He's a more sophisticated, skillful fighter. Diaz is, where I think, you know, just there's more things he can do than Garcia.
In boxing, craft is king. And Joseph Diaz, despite being trained all of his life by a father who was not a boxing trainer and knew nothing about it when they began, is immensely skilled. He has game for days, and that's what's going to make him quite a professional fighter.
Yes, and what else I like about JoJo's dad is he's not afraid to reach out to someone else to try to learn more to teach his son. So he's always humble. Him and his dad both are very humble, nice people. You couldn't meet a better set of guys.
Bring it up a little bit.
Absolutely right. Fighter meetings with them are a delight.
Yes, it is.
It is interesting. You would think it takes a certain amount of arrogance to think that you can teach your son how to box out of books with no experience yourself, but in fact, it takes obviously a lot of humility to continue to learn, even as your son approaches a world-class level.
Now here in the latter part of round 3, Horacio Garcia has decided that he wants to be more aggressive. He has steeled himself and brought the determination level up and is going after JoJo now in a much more aggressive way than was the case in the first couple of rounds.
And JoJo doing the smart thing, which is attacking his body even harder than he was attacking it in the first couple of rounds. So when he picks up his attack at JoJo, JoJo picks up his body attack, which is very, very smart.
10 seconds. Stop at the bell, gentlemen. 10 segundos. Para la campana.
A little glove touching at the end of that round. Tuesday night, catch the year-end edition of Real Sports. Bryant Gumbel and all the correspondents will look back at their favorite and most significant stories from 2016. Coming up next here in our main event, Bernard Hopkins fighting for what he says will be the last time in his career at age 51 years old. Is that a statue or a real guy standing behind him? I guess it was a real man. And there's the opponent, Joe Smith, who is still an active construction worker on Long Island, lives out near Brookhaven toward West Hampton on Long Island. Left his construction job behind again for the 20th time to come fight Bernard Hopkins in the light heavyweight division. Round 4 begins, Schedule 10. Lightweight division, or excuse me, featherweight division. Joseph Diaz against Horacio Garcia.
Good straight left hand by JoJo.
Stop, no punch, that boy. I already put the turn that way. Here we go, box.
Garcia is trying to keep the pressure on. Good jab by Garcia, but better uppercut from JoJo. He's trying to keep the pressure on, but he can't land a straight right. And against the southpaw, he must land a straight right to help him mount his attack like that.
And because of JoJo's hand speed, he can't land much of anything without being countered.
And that makes him not want to punch much.
But he's trying to be aggressive again here in round 4. And Diaz is again taking advantage of the opportunity for accurate counters.
Well, you think JoJo sometimes keeps his left a little back for defense because he seems to be getting clipped in the front of his face by that straight left hand.
Yeah, he's getting by the straight right hand. Yeah.
Right hand, sorry.
A hard right hand by Garcia. And another.
Overhand right.
And there's the best stretch of the fight for Garcia as he bangs Diaz twice with the right hand. Now comes back with body shots, and he has put Joseph Diaz on the defensive here midway through round 4.
Good body shot by JoJo, though.
Let's see if that changes the momentum.
I slowed the punches down a little bit from Garcia. That one by a good overhand right, though.
Garcia is a heavier-handed fighter.
Of course. That's why JoJo is keeping a hand back, Max, to block the overhand right.
Which could be a devastating weapon.
Yeah, and that's why I said he should use a straight right more, because of JoJo having the hand back.
This is a heck of a round, guys. Both guys are landing significant shots here in round number 4.
This is a heck of a fight, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh, good shot by JoJo.
And Diaz is a very intelligent fighter, Roy. You're absolutely right about his. When Garcia starts getting bold, Diaz really digs hard to the body and slows him up just a bit.
Which is a smart thing to do.
Looks hard like left hand over the top by Diaz.
Looks like
he
a really
taken
seasoned
command in the last minute here.
Looks like a really seasoned vet already. See that?
Yep.
Hard, vicious body shots.
He's mixing them up. It was the right hook he was using, and just then dug a real good left hand to the body, Diaz did.
And that straight left is really killing Garcia.
Diaz looks like a nice boxer, even at times a pretty boxer. But he knows it's a fight. He understands the psychology of the fight, and he knows how to hammer back at the moments when Garcia has gotten the best of him.
Thank you.
Joseph, don't sit on the fucking ropes like that. Even though you're counter punching him and stuff like that, don't sit on the ropes like that. Don't give him any advantage where he looks like he's doing anything. Even though he's not doing anything, all he's doing is freaking just throwing and you're catching everything, but you're not be in that position. You're gonna go out for his punch. Right away, you're gonna turn him, you gotta come right back. You got those opportunities. As soon as he starts bouncing, you're gonna go right there. For the final one,
You gotta attack the body. I don't want you trying to for the head. If you're inside, attack him to the body and then bring him up.
Here we see JoJo on the attack, on the defense, then follows with a counter overhand left right across the right glove. And you see Garcia trying to dig the body, JoJo digging the body right back with an even more vicious right hook to the body.
Baby-faced assassin JoJo Diaz. Early stages of what could be a great career.
Jim, I thought you hit it on the nose at the end of the last round. What Diaz has that tells you he's a real prospect is not just the pretty skills and the well-rounded skills. It's the temperament of a fighter when the other guy's trying to take the play away from him Diaz knows this is not just a boxing exhibition, it's a fight.
Now that hand speed advantage is really taking effect. JoJo's hand speed is so much quicker than Garcia's until there's nothing Garcia can do about the little pot shots like that JoJo throws. Just having his way. Like Jim said, just target practice at this point.
The next power shot JoJo Diaz lands will be the 100th landed power punch for him in the fight. Garcia has landed 48, so he's basically doubling Horacio Garcia in terms of number of landed punches, particularly power shots.
And there it was, number 100, straight left hand.
And if there's, you know, something in JoJo Diaz's game that says something less than a top pound-for-pound fighter eventually, it's that he's not a devastating puncher. Doesn't mean he can't achieve the highest highs in boxing, but that's why his opponent's still there right now, for example. He's not a bad puncher, but he's not a devastating one.
I compare him in some ways to Vasily Lomachenko, and I don't think you would necessarily say that Lomachenko is a devastating puncher, but he's a definitive puncher because he throws so many shots that you don't see coming. And JoJo, likewise, has the capacity to set up shots that you don't see coming.
They're both very good punchers. Both guys know how to throw the off-speed pitch, which is the one punch that could crack your cheekbone like that if you're not careful.
Yes,
they
but
just know when to use it and they know when not to use it.
Some guys will put a swing on a ball, using a baseball metaphor. Same swing as another guy, it looks the same, but the ball just doesn't go as far. Lomachenko varies the speed of his punches, but when he throws hard shots, I think they land harder than Diaz, who sometimes digs real hard and still doesn't seem to come out with that devastating punch.
I think it's the opponent. I don't think it's got nothing to do with JoJo. I think Garcia is a very good puncher.
Horacio Garcia and JoJo Diaz into the latter stages of the 5th round, and you see the edge for Diaz in total number of punches landed this round. Meanwhile, Bernard Hopkins' Hall of Fame career will forever be defined by his 20 consecutive middleweight title defenses. In October 2008, now campaigning as a light heavyweight, Hopkins found himself across the ring from an undefeated 26-year-old named Kelly Pavlik. Nobody picked Hopkins to win, which is why the victory over Pavlik may be his most satisfying. Bernard comes and stands above us and stares into press row. Hopkins is staring down the media.
Beating Kelly Pavlik in Atlantic City, staring down at the media was, how do you like me now moment.
He is making his point to the boxing writers, and he is establishing his eminence once again.
Because majority of the picks of the media was that I will get not only beaten, but I will be stopped somehow. When I'm told that I can, I say I can. And that's why the media got that stare, no voice, just a look. And one of the most, if not the most gratifying moments of my life.
Well, that was a fight that I didn't think he had any chance of winning, but of course he won it easily, winning every minute of every round. I didn't think he was going to beat Antonio Tarver in Atlantic City prior to that, but he did that as well. There are a lot of unexpected wins in Bernard Hopkins' career. Now we arrive at round 6 of a scheduled 10. Harold, how do you have it halfway through?
Okay, Jim, I got us 4 rounds to 1. 49-46, Joseph Diaz Jr. You know, how can you vote against the guy who throws a punch that can crack your cheekbone? I love that expression. Anyway, Joseph Diaz Jr. with that hand speed, really tremendous. I mean, he's landed some great combinations, great left hands. I thought Garcia got aggressive enough in round 4, especially in the beginning of round 4, to win round 4, which is the round I gave him. 4-1, Joseph Diaz Jr.
Meanwhile, we have had a very valid discussion here, and meaningful discussion about what JoJo Diaz's father has accomplished, training Joseph Diaz, his son, with no previous experience as a boxing trainer. I've just learned that the World Boxing Council today passed a rule which will in the future mandate that no father can be his son's chief second in the corner of a professional WBC fight. That is a dramatic change. I mean, I'm thinking right off the top of my head of Felix Trinidad and his father, Papa Trinidad. There have been many other father-son combinations in the corner. Roy Jones, why would the WBC pass a rule prohibiting the father from being the chief second in the fighter's corner?
Roy Jones has no clue of that one and do not understand it. I don't know what has happened. I don't know if it's the way the fathers talk to the sons or the way the fathers handle the sons. But Harold says he knows why it happened. Can you ask him?
Harold?
The fathers are just too, you know, they take too much time to stop a fight. In other words, if their son is in the ring, they ain't going to stop the fight if the kid is getting murdered. And it's you know, it's been shown so many times where the father has just refused to stop a fight. We had that Johnson kid in Atlantic City. You know, he died after the fight because, you know, his father just didn't stop the fight. That should have been stopped. You know, these things happen. So the WBC said no more fathers in the corner.
It's long been a discussion in boxing about fathers being too emotionally involved in their sons and living vicariously through them, etc. I don't know how you legislate that out, though, and I don't think it's a very good idea to try.
I think it's fascinating. And by the way, Levander Johnson died after his fight with Jesus Chavez. Fight was in Las Vegas, not in Atlantic City. Johnson was from Atlantic City. And yes, his father may well have allowed him to go too deep into the fight. However, Levander Johnson saw Paris. Levander Johnson saw London. Levander Johnson got from boxing a life he would never otherwise have gotten in the ghetto of Atlantic City. We kick off the new year in the ring on January 28th with a Boxing After Dark doubleheader featuring Francisco Vargas defending his 130-pound title against Miguel Berchelt. On that same card, Takashi Miura, Vargas's dance partner in the 2015 Fight of the Year, faces Mickey Roman. What a fascinating and entertaining fighter Francisco Vargas, I should say, is. He was in the 2015 Fight of the Year against Takashi Miura. He was in what many will choose as the 2016 Fight of the Year against Orlando Salido. And here he comes against another brawling, hard-punching opponent.
Make a lot of good fights with that guy.
Can't miss.
The heat of the battle is when you want to fake them, right? Heat of the battle, you want to fake them, son.
Round 7 of Schedule 10. Joseph Diaz of South El Monte, California, in the purple and gold Laker uniform here in the Forum, which was once the house that Magic Johnson built. And fighting against Horacio Garcia of Guadalajara, who is here in his Baltimore Orioles uniform.
And I don't know if this batting practice or not, but JoJo can't seem to miss with that straight left hand no more.
Under and over with the left hand by Jojo Diaz.
I like Diaz's display of skill here. He moves with his feet. He can play defense and not give up his offense, Roy. When he stands right in front of the guy, he can block and roll with some shots and pick off punches and counter. He's just a well-schooled fighter.
Landing some good combinations right here, JoJo is. Like he's caught a second wind or something.
Perfect camera angle from which to demonstrate what you had said earlier in the round, that he can't miss with the straight left hand.
No, he can't seem to miss with that straight left hand at all.
Jojo blocking punches with his elbows there.
Good left hand lead again. And good left to the body. Love how he's working up and down. Definitely keeping Garcia disciplined with those body shots.
Southpaw discipline. You saw some of that from Terrence Crawford last week in Omaha. As he was disciplining Los Angeles' John Molina.
Don't cut, box.
And now here's Joseph Diaz administering southpaw discipline to Horacio Garcia.
Jojo, over there.
Referee Raul Calles Jr.
¿Me lo juegas, por favor? Ahí, juégamelo, yo lo detengo. Nomás enjuágalo, por favor. Gracias, ¿eh? No te me salgas, okay? Here you go. Time in, let's go. Box.
Unhappy.
Good body shot by JoJo.
Yeah, the punishment's starting to add up on Garcia. His face is starting to get rearranged a little bit. And the body shots are stopping him in his tracks a little differently than they were earlier.
So Jojo Diaz is cruising for the moment. There's Danny Trejo of the Machete movie franchise. There's Gennady Golovkin right over Trejo's left shoulder. There's somebody with a V for victory sign. Golovkin smiling as he watches Danny Trejo accept the camera's attention, and there's Freddie Roach. The boxing community turning out in Los Angeles. Freddie smiles for the camera. Legendary promoter Don Chargan is over Freddie's right shoulder.
Just getting the left in, just flex your waist and bring him up. 2 punches, that's it. 2 punches. You get in and 2 punches. 2 punch combinations. So the body and up top, or up top and then the body. And flex that waist. Every time you go in, flex that waist.
You know, you said it earlier, Max Kellerman, that Los Angeles is the best fight town in the United States. This sport, once so East Coast centric, both from the standpoint of how it was produced and how it was reported, is now just as one-sidedly and lopsidedly West Coast centric. How did it happen?
And it's been that way. Well, it's largely the Mexican and Mexican-American culture and fight culture and the popularity of that sport south of the border. You know, and it's been that way for decades in reality, Jim. I was a kid growing up in New York in the 70s and 80s, and even at that time, there was more special stuff happening in LA than in New York. They were generating bigger crowds. The culture was more important out here, the fight culture, than in New York. This has been going on for decades now.
I remember when it really became so apparent, the night in 1999 when Oscar De La Hoya and Shane Mosley met at Staples Center before a packed house. It was an intense fight, but the turnout, the audience, the way the city responded to the fight, a lot of people were surprised to learn how devoted and avid a boxing town Los Angeles already was at that moment.
But considering the fights at the Coliseum and at the Forum through the years and the crowds they would draw compared to the sleepier kind of crowds at the Garden, or even at the smaller room at the Garden, which has had various names through the years, Madison Square Garden, you could see that this is going back. Roy, I see what you think about this, but this is going back, at least in my lifetime, the entire way.
I agree with you on that, Max. But with the De La Hoya Mosley situation, they both were LA kids.
Yeah.
So that, of course, calls for a big hoorah. And I mean, there was some, for here, when you get a good fight, you get a good fight. And so many people come out to support it because of so many more names on the card. In New York, everybody go to New York because they want to have that recognition of fighting in the Garden. They may not necessarily be from the area. Maybe the fans there may not be in tune with who it is, but because of the fight there, some come, some don't. In LA, we usually know who the fighters are.
And there's more media in New York, especially in those days. So it was important to publicize a fighter by taking them there.
More of the same in round 8 of Schedule 10. Jojo Diaz showing you more and more of his skill set as the fight goes on.
Yeah, I really don't like the way Garcia's face is starting.
I don't either, Max. I was thinking that at the beginning of the round. I do not like the way that his face is starting to look. I don't even like the way that he walked to the corner at the end of the last round. Taking too many clean shots.
Yep. 10 seconds. Stop at the bell.
Still to come, the main event centers on Bernard Hopkins and his amazing career Hopkins at age 51, fighting a fighter who was not even born when his professional career began. Here are some of the milestones. Former middleweight and light heavyweight champion. 20 consecutive middleweight title defenses, 1996 to 2005. 325 championship rounds. Only Emil Griffith and Abe Attell spent more time in the ring in championship fights than has Bernard Hopkins. Fought 19 current or past champions, and a solid winning record against those fighters. Oldest man to win and retain a major title, defended one at age 49 years and 111 days. Nobody else has come close to that. One of a kind, Bernard Hopkins. Round 9 of a scheduled 10 as Horacio Garcia tries to make it to the finish line against Jojo Diaz. Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 8?
Okay, Jim, I got it 79-73, 7 rounds to 1, Joseph Diaz Jr. You know, Jim, Horacio Garcia is fighting very, very defensively. Remember I told you that I thought he won round 4? I thought he did, but in round 4 he opened up, got aggressive, came at Diaz and threw punches. But since then, he's just fighting a defensive fight. Look at how he keeps his hands up, his elbows in, but he doesn't open up. He doesn't throw punches. He's just trying. At the end of the round, you said to yourself, who's doing more damage? And in each and every round, it's Joseph Diaz Jr. 7-1, Diaz.
Yeah, I think you could also have it 8-0.
Very easily.
Yep.
Good body.
Right to the body, left upstairs, almost simultaneous. Just a beautifully thrown combination. Horacio Garcia still trying to come back, still trying to get to Diaz's body, throwing straight right hands, which have been his best punch. Lands one every once in a while, but doesn't have the consistency or the polish that Joseph Diaz shows over and over.
Joseph Diaz is doing a really good job of putting his punches together tonight. Good shot by Garcia. He lands flush on Jojo every now and then, but it does no damage at all to Jojo.
Wonder what it's like for Eddie Reynoso in the corner, who with Canelo is used to having the more skillful fighter in the fight. Obviously not the case tonight.
Not the case at all. I think they plan to beat Jojo with pressure, but the pressure has worked in Jojo's favor.
Well, when you're choosing to try to go at a good counterpuncher with pressure, you're asking to get embarrassed. If the guy is on and he knows what he's doing and he's feeling it that night, his timing is good, he's going to beat you with his counterpunching.
It sounds like all of that seems to be the case tonight.
We also don't see, you know, it's one thing to be a pressure fighter. It's another thing to be a pressure fighter and a polished inside fighter. In other words, you're following the guy or hopefully cutting off the ring if you're executing the strategy properly. And now you have a guy on the ropes or in the corner, or you're close to him. Are you a polished inside fighter? Can you open up his defense with your shoulder and elbows and land crisp, short shots on the inside? And that doesn't appear to be the case with Garcia here.
Good combinations.
When he has open, clean shots, if Jojo goes into a shell defense, sure, he can rip them. But what if Jojo doesn't cooperate with him? What does he do then?
Covers up.
Right.
10 segundos, para la campana. 10 seconds, stop at the bell, gentlemen.
Oh, good shot. That's that hand speed advantage right there.
Inch forward. You can stay right there. Boom, boom, boom. Inch forward. Don't step back. Okay, just keep inching forward, slipping, inching forward. Slipping, slipping, inching forward. You understand what I'm telling you? Yeah. Pop up, inch forward, slip, pop up, slip, inch forward. And you're slipping forward. You're slipping forward. Everything.
This is the last round. That's it. It's the last round, and that's it. All right, son? You gotta flex your waist. Flex your waist and move in. Flex your waist, thinking about it. Go in.
Guys, last round. Último asalto, buena pelea. Vamos. Box.
Horacio Garcia tries to begin the last round with a hard body shot. Jojo Diaz counters him upstairs.
Good shot by Horacio.
Now they're trading.
But that's what Jim brought up earlier, Roy. Jojo is a fighter. He's a boxer, but he has the temperament of a fighter when push comes to shove, like right now. The other guy crowds him and lands a few things. Jojo likes to fight.
Answers back. Takes command with his craft.
Good right hand to the body by Garcia.
What an effort by Garcia. Trying to resurrect his chances in the fight all at once here in the 10th round.
Well, Max, you got to look at it like this, though. If you're getting bullied and you go to the boxing gym to learn how to box, why are you learning how to box? So that you can do what? Fight back. So we know he's learned to fight back. That was part of his overcoming that bullying situation.
Actually goes to show you that some people who are bullied do have, are fighters.
That's exactly right.
For one reason or another, they haven't always fought back, but obviously Diaz has always had it in him. I don't think you can learn this sort of thing, this kind of determination to fight back.
Well, and there's one kind of fighting that takes place on the street or the playground. There's another kind of fighting that takes place in a boxing gym. And once you've spent time in a boxing gym and you have learned the craft, you are going to annihilate those people on the street or the playground who think they can get you but don't have the goods.
Gives you much more confidence to work with on the playground.
Yeah, and Jojo does not allow himself to get bullied here. I mean, Garcia has given it a great effort in this round and has landed some extremely heavy shots, especially to the body, and Jojo is just ripping them right back.
Get off his head, stop! Don't do that, Jojo. ¿Estás bien? Here we go. Box.
1 minute to go.
Oh, good body work by Jojo.
Oh, 1 minute to go. Diaz may be thinking that he still wants to try to force a stoppage.
With those body shots and that straight left, he's really trying.
Diaz mastering distance here in this last minute, landing his shots and then stepping back out of range as Horacio Garcia tries to come back. Good slip on the left hand there by Jojo Diaz.
Good overhand right by Garcia still.
That's
got to give Garcia
punch
credit.
all night.
Yeah, he's very game. Never gave up, never stopped trying, never stopped putting the pressure on. Just in against a better fighter tonight, a sharper fighter with much more hand speed. And he may have been the best puncher, but Jojo used his attack up and down, body and head.
Horacio Garcia has given it the old Guadalajara try, and Jojo Diaz has given him the South El Monte business as the fight comes to a close. Diaz acknowledging the crowd from all four sides of the ring. A very professional move. Veteran cornerman Ben Lira takes the mouthpiece out of his mouth. Horacio Garcia with a gulp of water as we wait the scores from this 10-round preliminary fight prior to the main event between Bernard Hopkins and Joe Smith. CompuBox numbers, let's quickly take a look at them as we await the scores. Diaz landing 154 punches while throwing 61 fewer. You see the difference in the connect percentages. You landed 42% of your overall output. Chances are that you were pretty close to 50% in your power punch outfit. So let's take a look at power punches, and there you have it. Joseph Diaz landing 53% of his power shots. A lot of that, the accuracy of that straight left hand down the middle. You heard Roy Jones say in round 9, he cannot miss with that punch. And a pretty good representative effort by Garcia, but just not on the same page with the brilliantly skilled Jojo Diaz. Well, Harold Edelman, who are the three unofficial, or who are the three official judges, I should say, who are scoring the fight?
Okay, Jim. Tom Carasone from Connecticut, relatively new judge, no title fights. Max DeLuca, very, very well-known judge from California. We've seen him a million times on HBO. And, of course, Pat Russell from California, who's, you know, really made his reputation as a referee. Now they made him a judge. He's a little bit older. So, 2 experienced California judges, 1 relatively new Connecticut judge.
Let's go to Joe Martinez for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. All three scored the same, 100 to 90. Your winner by unanimous decision. He is still the undefeated NABF featherweight champion, Joseph Jojo Diaz Jr.
Jojo Diaz runs his unbeaten record to 23 wins, no losses, no draws. Onward and upward for the rising featherweight star. We are now minutes away from our main event here in Los Angeles, California. It may be perilous to take for granted that Bernard Hopkins is finally retiring, but 4 weeks shy of his 52nd birthday, he has reached the finish line. He'll look to leave the sport with a win when he takes on Long Island construction worker Joe Smith Jr. Smith is 2-0 with 2 knockouts this year and looks for a career-defining victory against Hopkins here tonight. But before we get to our main event, let's take a look at what's upcoming from HBO Sports.